or interest till 2024. Get a 30% federal tax credit, up to $2,000 off qualifying heat pumps. Trust Goodfellas. We're locally owned with thousands of 5-star reviews. Good service, good prices, Goodfellas. Visit us at goodfellasac.com to schedule a no-cost estimate.
At Goldberg and Osborne, we fight. We fight for accident victims, injured workers, abused seniors, those harmed by dogs, negligence, or malpractice. We fight the government and big corporations. And most importantly, we fight the insurance companies. We've been fighting for Arizonans since 1989. We go to court, we fight, and we win. Call Goldberg and Osborne and let the Eagle fight for you. Now accepting work injury cases.
Remember to tune in to Wildcats Radio 1290 for the biggest pregame show in the Pac-12. Because that's how we roll. We go on the air 4 hours before every football and men's basketball game all season long. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona football, along with Arizona football play-by-play. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Oh, boy, here we go. It is Tuesday, October the 24th. A great afternoon to you. Are you ready for Game 7? Game 7 of the National League Championship Series tonight in Philadelphia. First pitch coming up in about 2 hours and 6 minutes. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Philadelphia Phillies. The winner advances to the World Series to face the Texas Rangers. The Rangers completed their 7-game series win Monday night, beating up, and I mean beating up, on the Houston Astros, the defending World Series champion Houston Astros on the road, 11-4. The road team won every single game in that series. Texas won all 4 games in Houston. Houston won all 3 games in Dallas-Fort Worth. And so the Texas Rangers, who have never won a World Series championship, are back in the World Series with a chance to do so. How could you ever forget? I believe it was they went back-to-back years. In 2010, in 2011, did the Texas Rangers. But it's the 2011 World Series, which is the one that really stands out because they had a chance to win it that year, and the Cardinals absolutely stole it from them. David Freese hitting a famous home run in the 11th inning of Game 6, a game that the Rangers were winning. I have to turn my memory, but I believe they were winning in the 9th inning. The Cardinals scored to force extra innings. David Freese hits the walk-off home run in the 11th inning. And then the Cardinals won Game 7, 6-2, to steal the World Series from the Texas Rangers. And the year before that, I believe they lost to, that was one that they lost to, I believe it was the San Francisco Giants when they went through their run, which I believe they won like 3 World Series in 5 years. So the Texas Rangers, and it is another odd year, the Texas Rangers will have a chance to play and win a World Series this year, and they are awaiting the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Philadelphia Phillies. Are you excited about that, J-Dub?
I could not be more excited, David Kelly. I mean, come on, it's Game 7. You got to be excited, especially with an in-state franchise. And we've been following the Diamondbacks run through their struggles, their bullpen struggles, we'll call it, during the middle of the season, and to their run through these playoffs today. I mean, I couldn't be more excited about the game. There is so much going on today in the sports world, but I think my focus is going to be on this game primarily, just because I think Game 7 is just about the best sporting event that there is.
You mentioned there is a lot going on. The NBA season begins tonight. The Phoenix Suns will be on the floor. They are one of the primary games in the league tonight. They'll take on the Golden State Warriors. In fact, there are just 2 games in the league tonight, the first of which will get underway in about an hour and a half. That is the defending champion Denver Nuggets taking on the Los Angeles Lakers, the team that they eliminated in the Western Conference Finals to get to the NBA Finals last year. And then the Phoenix Suns and the Golden State Warriors will play the second of the 2 games tonight. Both of those games will air on TNT. Bradley Beal is not expected to play tonight for the Phoenix Suns. He's dealing with a back issue. He apparently did practice the last 2 days, but all indications are that Frank Vogel is going to tell him to sit this one out. Let's not do anything crazy. It's a long season, and so it does not appear that we'll get the debut of the new Suns' big 3 tonight with the injury to Bradley Beal.
I heard abundance of caution. That's the term I heard. Yeah. I think, DK, if I may, I think this is one thing the NBA gets really correctly.
Okay.
Which is that when they start the next season, they do it with the teams that competed in the conference finals the year before. 1 year 2 years ago, it was the Bucks Suns, because that was the finals matchup. So one way or another in the scheduling, this opening night, they usually only have 2 games, 3 games, and they always are compiled of teams that were successful in the postseason last year. And I think those, the NFL, they have their traditional, Thanksgiving teams that are always on certain days of the year. That's okay. That's great for longevity. But as far as having the teams that are the most relevant in each conference going back to just last season, I think it's a really good decision to have these 4 teams show up tonight.
So it'll be the Suns and the Golden State Warriors. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip tonight. And apparently Devin Booker's also been dealing with a little bit of a preseason injury. He had been limited in practice as well over the weekend, but apparently Book will go tonight. Bradley Beal will not. And the Warriors and the Suns will duke it out for the first of many times this season. And again, we mentioned yesterday, this is a national TV game, so everybody can watch this game and the next game. It's the Saturday game where things begin to come into question with the Suns and if you can watch their games on TV or not. So that is our question of the day today. If you have Xfinity cable, and we went over this yesterday, and if you work for Xfinity I'd love to hear from Xfinity. I mean, I've been looking I did some cursory searching, trying to find a number for them. I got to reach out to my friend Kelly Maslin because I'm sure she can put me in touch with them. She used to work over there. I want to know what's going on with Xfinity and the Suns. Are they even talking? I don't even know if these 2 entities are talking about a deal to get the Suns on Xfinity. Clearly, the Suns carved out a deal with Cox, but I don't even know if they're talking to Xfinity. There's nothing. I've not seen a single stitch of information about whether the Suns and Xfinity are even talking about trying to cut a deal so that those games can be seen here in Southern Arizona for the mostly northern population of this county. And it's interesting, we mentioned the Denver Nuggets are playing tonight. The Nuggets have been dealing with this whole thing for the last several years. And not just the Nuggets. It's the Nuggets and the Avalanche.
Yeah.
Apparently half the population of Denver can't even watch the Avalanche or the Nuggets games. Is that what we're going to be dealing with here with the Suns in this year of so much anticipation? That nobody can watch that half the city can't watch the games here in Southern Arizona? 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. That is our question of the day. If you have Xfinity, so let's kind of tell you what you got to do. If you've got Xfinity cable, which is what I've got it on, you have got to essentially unplug your TV from your cable system or your satellite and then plug into an antenna and watch it on the KOLD subchannel, which is 13.5.
That's when you tell Junior to wrap himself in tinfoil and go stand on the porch and hold this wire.
Not today. Not today.
Not today.
Junior
No,
might have
it's
gotten
dangerous.
struck by lightning
Do not do
today.
that today. There's lightning out there.
How about that?
Yeah, I remember. I was alive. We were both alive, but I remember the 80s and 90s, especially Fox first came around, and that was a joke on The Simpsons, is that you had to hold an antenna and everybody had to stand in a certain position to get the signal.
Yeah. No, you don't want to do that today. It was a little crazy out there.
It is so dark north of here, DK. I was just out there, and like the clouds, they're blanketing the mountain, and we had a big rainstorm pour down here about an hour ago. I'm sure most of Tucson. I've seen reports around town that a lot of people saw some water. So
I walked in and it said, it still says 76 degrees. It feels a lot colder than 76 degrees since it started raining. When I walked in, I was like, man, it feels like 56 degrees right now out here with this fall storm that came through around noon as we were there, 1 o'clock as we were sitting in Arizona Stadium talking to the U of A coordinators and the players today, Johnny Nansen and Brennan Carroll and Dalton Johnson and DJ Williams, the running back. Got a chance to speak to them today. We've got a packed show for you. I mean, I don't know if we have any more room in this show for anybody else.
don't give the number out.
Don't give the number out. Well, I always give the number out because you are always welcomed on this show. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. We're going to be talking in this hour to Tamara Statman-Schoen. You may remember her as T. Statman. Played softball here at the University of Arizona. Lefty hitter, a lot of spunk, played in the outfield. Out of Phoenix, went to Horizon High School. And T is doing a great thing. Obviously, we're dealing with a horrible, horrible situation that is happening over in the Middle East. With the fighting between the Israelis and the Hamas, and T. Statman, of course, is of the Jewish religion, and she has put together a nice. Her family owns this magnet company, which I had no idea they own a magnet company, but she has gotten with her parents and she's created these magnets to raise money for Israel. So we're going to talk to T. Statman about that. She's actually played internationally for Israel.
Yeah.
We'll get her thoughts. And this is something we didn't have shows last week, so we didn't talk about this, but softball is back in the Olympics. And so that was a huge announcement last week. We'll get T. Statman's thoughts on that as well, because I'm interested to hear if she's going to be playing for Israel in the Olympics, since she has played for Team Israel in other events. So that'll be something we'll find out from T. Statman.
Candrea, right? It was the first, when they first brought it. That was a big deal. That was like early 90s, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he coached a couple of gold. I think he coached one team that won the gold and one team that did not, if my memory serves me correctly on that. So we'll talk to T. Statman today. Matthew Villalta is going to join us. The Tucson Roadrunners played a day game today at Tucson Arena. They beat the San Diego Gulls 2-1. So we'll talk to the new goaltender for the Roadrunners, Matthew Villalta, will join us. Glenn Howe, also Wildcat Breakdown in the 5 o'clock hour. Get his thoughts on the win over Washington State. Get you set for Oregon State. We'll hear from Brandon Fott before first pitch at 5:07. He gets the ball. The rookie gets the ball tonight in Philadelphia to try to pitch the Diamondbacks into the World Series.
No pressure.
This was a kid that came up, and I think he lost like his first 7 or 8 starts.
Yeah.
But he's going to get the ball in the most important game of the year to try to pitch Arizona to the World Series. Joined by the third member of our program. That is not Garrett. I'll get Garrett's name off there. Garrett was sitting in your chair yesterday
Really? I know.
Cricket.
We believe it.
Yeah, I
we
know.
wiped it down.
Like someone's been sleeping in my bed.
It's funny you said that. That was that the Three Bears. That's one of my favorite. Nursery rhymes.
Nursery
growing
rhymes
up.
are kind of creepy, though, aren't they? When you really
Oh,
think about it,
okay.
they're kind of scary. Well, some of them are way more creepy, maybe, than others.
So give me another creepy one.
I
that you
think
did
I
not
would
like.
say, and maybe I don't remember this right, Hansel and Gretel.
All of them.
Hansel and
they're-
Gretel.
Okay, here you want the story. So the Grimm's fairy tales, they come from these two guys who
Yeah.
went through the countryside in Germany, and they talked to a lot of locals about these superstitions, and these stories have been passed down for generations. And that's where those original stories came from. But the original versions are so much darker than the ones that we've read.
That are fluffy.
More
Yeah.
recently.
They make
Yeah,
them
they've
all kinda
changed a
pretty.
lot of the details. But the original ones were all of them were
So
super.
Hansel and Gretel was the one. If when they ate the gingerbread man?
The
Was that-
gingerbread
that one?
house and the witch and the two kids who are trying to run away from their parents in the
Yes.
forest and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got a much darker ending
that
than the one
was-
we've read.
yeah, that was-
Also, Red Riding Hood, same story, same origin, and it's a much darker.
It's dark. They're creepy.
Real dark. Yeah, real
So
dark.
so who in America was in charge of softening that up?
Probably
These
Disney.
stories.
FCC.
Disney? I don't know.
FCC.
I don't know.
Disney. Walt Disney's responsible for everything, right?
It seems like it.
I mean, if this planet would not even exist. This country might not exist without Walt Disney, right?
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, that guy was. It's very interesting. I think I told you guys I went to Disney World for the first time. Like I'd never been to Disney World.
Okay.
I'd been to Disneyland a gazillion times because of my Los Angeles background, but I'd never been to Disney World until this year, and it was just and we got to take the underground tour, like where you can go
Like VIP.
Exactly.
Kinda,
Yeah. The
okay.
underground underneath it. It's amazing how the whole thing is laid out. It's like a little city under the city. I mean, it's got all these tunnels, and you can just literally go from one side of the park to the next. But just to hear Walt's story, and the best part for me was the journalistic part of how the city of Orlando found out. They see, all they knew was that somebody was buying up a bunch of land. But they couldn't figure out what was going on.
What they're
So
doing.
the Orlando Sentinel, which is the newspaper there, put a reporter on it and said, we want you to keep an eye on who's buying this land and see if you can find out what's going on. And so it was a female reporter, and she literally found out, and there was, I guess, they were doing this thing out of Disneyland where they were I don't know what they were celebrating, but Walt Disney was inviting journalists from all over the country to come out and have like 5 minutes of time with them, and he would ask questions, right? So this reporter from Orlando goes out there, and she goes in for her 5 minutes, and she basically goes, so what's up with all this land that you're buying in Orlando? And he literally had to hop on a plane the next day, go to Orlando and have a press conference.
Right.
And tell everyone what
Tell
he was
everybody
doing.
what was going on.
Good work.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Some good detective work.
Good
Yeah,
detective
exactly.
work.
Yeah.
I'll have to. Actually, her last name was Kelly, which was awesome because her last name was Kelly. But I have to get her first name. But that was one of the cool stories we found out on the underground tour.
That's
of,
cool.
Of Disney World in Orlando. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together with reported collisions, Congress and Granada, Grant and Columbus, and then a second collision reported at Grant Road and Alvernon. Possible wreck on I-10 eastbound at Rita Road. Slowdowns at Grant and Alvernon on southbound Swanwick, Grant, eastbound Grant approaching and passing Wilmot, also busy at Campbell and Grant. Chance of scattered thunderstorms continuing this afternoon. 57 the low with partly cloudy skies overnight and 71 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
deep to throw offline, and Arizona walks off with a win over Tennessee, and they are going to the Super Regionals.
What a moment that was in 2016 for Tamara T. Statman. She's no stranger to this radio station. She used to intern here and was on the air quite a bit during the Kevin and Mike era of Wildcats Radio 1290, and she returns now. Welcome back, T.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. So update everybody about what is happening with Tamara Statman. Now, Schoen, am I pronouncing that right? Schoen, is that correct?
Yes, shown as shown here in this example.
There you go. You have gotten married and everything. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so after what happened? So I played softball after college, played for the Israeli national team in 2019 and then 2021. So we played in Europe. It was such an amazing experience. I went to Israel for seminary for a couple months, got married, and now I work at an online school in Texas, and I am the operations manager. So that was a whirlwind.
Now, do you still live, though, in Arizona?
Yes, yeah, I'm up in Phoenix.
That's awesome. That's where you're from. You came down here out of Horizon High School to play at the University of Arizona. You mentioned you'd gone over and you'd played at Israel, and one of the reasons we brought you on is obviously you're doing some great things right now to try to bring attention to what's happening over in the Middle East with Israel and the war that they're currently having with the Hamas. And first of all, I want to go back to your childhood. I mean, because obviously a lot of people don't know what really this is all about. Tell me how you learned about the issues between the Israeli people and the Palestinians growing up.
You know, growing up, it's really interesting because you kind of learn about it more as you get older. As a kid, I thought we were like the only Jews that existed, like just me and my small little town, like that's it, only Jews. And then as you get older, you know, you go to college and like you see that there's more people everywhere, still a very, very small percentage of the United States. But you keep learning about all these different world issues, and it's really interesting because the Middle East is very, very complicated. It's very hard to apply Western values to Middle Eastern conflicts. It's just really difficult. So it's crazy that Israel is such like a beautiful, wonderful place where people do come together of all different kinds of races and religions, and it's just such a special place. And yeah.
Tamara Statman, Schoen joining us, Arizona softball class of 2019. What was, first of all, how did you first, when did it first come in your mind that you wanted to actually have an opportunity to go play internationally for Israel? Was that something you'd always maybe thought about growing up and through college? And when did that kind of come on your lexicon that this is something I might actually have a chance to do?
Yeah, so there's something actually called the Maccabi Games, which is basically the Jewish Olympics. And it is played in Israel, but they do have like small regional ones in the United States. But in 2017, I went out there to play for the USA Maccabi team, and that's actually where I met my husband. He was playing men's softball, I was playing women's softball, and he went to the school up north. So it just happened to work out that we were 2 hours away from each other. But that experience was really fantastic, just being able to go over there and meet other just Jewish people who play sports. And then from there, I was introduced to like the manager of the Israeli national team. And that was definitely a whirlwind experience of raising money and really just trying to put a team together. And I can tell you that we were very welcomed by the Europeans there, and that team, I currently do administrative work for them. They are just making like noise at the world level, which has been really amazing to see.
So now, before we get in, I want to get into the magnets that you've put together to raise money for Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But last week they announced that softball is coming back to the Olympics. Do you have aspirations to play for Israel in the Olympics?
Oh, I would love that if that was an opportunity. I know that we have some really, really amazing talent. We have some fabulous talent that is up and coming for the Israeli team. But I am always here if I to strap up my boots if we would have the opportunity again. It's very complicated. All the qualifying, like when we were trying to qualify for the Olympics, it was like a qualifier for the qualifier, and it's really tough to be those top teams. It's amazing how much this sport has grown all over the world and how competitive it actually is. But that's really the beauty of it, and I'm so excited to see LA 2028, right?
Absolutely. Tamara Statman joining us, Arizona Softball 2019. Let's go back to a couple of weeks ago. Just when you first heard about the attacks on the Israeli people from Hamas, what went through your heart?
It was horrible. It was a Jewish holiday actually when all of this was happening, and me and my husband, we have family out there. Some were out there for a wedding. We have friends out there. We have friends who moved there. I have my teammates who currently serve in the IDF. It was really gut wrenching, but it was really uplifting to see how the community came together for everyone. We had friends getting called up as reservists, and they were asking for all sorts of things. So like, oh, we're raising money for ballistic vests, and people just came together. They overwhelmed the airports here in the United States with just donations. That was really, really special of people to do. And me and my husband, we were like, what can we do as people? And we really, it's amazing that my family, they own Better Magnets, and we were able to put together very quickly a campaign with these stunning magnets, like these beautiful, beautiful magnets that people are able to purchase, and also support Magen David Adom, which is the Israeli first responders over there.
Wow. And your family, Tamara, actually owns a magnet company. I did not know that.
Yes. So it's custom buttons, but they have now branched out into the retail magnet space. It's fabulous. What they are doing is absolutely incredible. Like the magnets that their team is producing, it's amazing. So
now, how can people get these magnets from you, and like how many different versions are out there right now? I'm imagining there's a website people can go to.
Yeah, so if you go to bettermagnets.com, there's actually a link to our Etsy page. We are selling it on Etsy. There are, how many different designs? There's like 6 different designs. And our goal is to sell 10,000 magnets, which would equate to sponsoring a metacycle for Magen David Adom. So a metacycle is basically like it's like a mini, it's not an ambulance, it's like a motorcycle with a bunch of equipment and stuff, so they're able to get to these places faster because they're driving in crazy crowded areas or rough terrain. These metacycles are able to get there fast. But obviously, it would be amazing if we were able to sell more to raise money for half an ambulance or an ambulance, because 14 ambulances have been destroyed or hijacked by Hamas.
Wow.
And we're just really trying to do anything that we can to raise as much money as possible to help people. And we'll just keep making magnets. So we'll sell out, we'll keep making them. So
what's the response been like so far?
It's been incredible. It really has. We've raised over $1,000 in literally a week. We've had like over 80 unique orders. It's been really, really amazing, and people are loving them, and they're going to support an incredible cause.
Tamara Statman is joining us, Arizona Softball of 2019. Tamara, what do you remember about, we played that highlight at the top. What do you remember just about that particular hit, and then just your overall experience of having a chance to wear the Wildcats, the Block A, across your chest?
I was laughing when you were playing that because I remember that so distinctly. And while I don't exactly, like, you kind of black out a little bit,
yeah.
but I've watched the video so many times, and I'm pretty sure Nancy Bowling's like on the floor, like trying to slide into home plate, and Thule is like on the floor. Like that was an incredible memory to have playing on that team. That was a very, very just amazing team to play for, and being able to play for Coach Candrea, and just what a moment and what an amazing program to really play for.
Give me that one thing that Coach Candrea told you that's kind of maybe resonated with you and how you've kind of begun your career post-college.
I think one of the things that really stand out to me is that Coach said that he was like in the business of making better people. Because like softball comes and goes. Some people get hurt. Some people like can't play anymore. And every day was just like a blessing to be able to come out and play softball. Because for him, it wasn't. He's like, I don't work ever, because all he does is do what he loves, and that meant a lot. And then also just, it's true. Like, he was in the business of making better people. So hopefully I've grown a lot, and that I am definitely a better person because of being in that program.
And speaking of programs, you had a radio show when you were down here in Tucson as a student. How did that come about initially?
Tea time.
Tea time.
Yes. Sorry. That's so funny. Yeah, so I was always interested in radio, and right out the gate, I was like, oh, the U of A has camp radio. So I go down there. I had my little scooter that I would scooter down. I could make it from McHale Center to the radio station in 7 minutes. And I would go right after training at 8 a.m. and I would go host my radio show for, they would call it 8 seasons, but it was for 4 years. And it was really fun, and just like, it was a great experience to be able to meet all kinds of people and just, get that radio experience in.
Do you miss radio?
I do miss radio more than anything.
You can never get out. As I've been known to say, once you're out, they drag you back in. I left for about 12 years, but here I am back again on the radio.
Well, I've heard it's doing great.
T, if you get really bored, you're always welcome to come back on anytime.
Always welcome.
I'll start calling you guys on Fridays for my Florida Man Friday segment, okay?
There you go. I like that. Make that happen, Jada. I'd love to have her on every Friday.
I'm on it.
Outstanding. Hey, T, one more time, let people know where they can get the magnets.
Yes, so go to www.bettermagnets.com.
Bettermagnets.com.
Yeah, and there's a link to our Etsy page. You can also, if you're on Instagram, you can follow me at The Only Real T, and the link is in my bio as well.
The Only Real T on Instagram. Tamara, hey, we appreciate you taking some time. Best of luck with this fundraising effort for Israel. And again, like J-Dub said, we'd love to have you back on again in the future.
Oh, I love it.
Tamara Statman-Schoen, Arizona Softball 2019. All right, a lot still to come on this particular program. Adia Barnes is out in the community doing some great things. She has partnered with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson, as well as Nike is a part of this, and they're opening up a center for young women to try to mold women into doing great things here in the Tucson community. So we're going to talk about that next. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Reported collisions Broadway and Euclid, Midtown at Grant and Alvernon, second wreck Grant Road in Columbus reported in downtown Congress and Granada. Busy traffic on eastbound Grant Road approaching and passing Wilmot. And overnight tonight, chance of scattered thunderstorms that is continuing this afternoon. Overnight, 57 the low, partly cloudy skies, and 71 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association. Join the 2023 Walk to End Alzheimer's Tucson on Saturday, October 28th at Gene C. Reed Park. Participants of all ages and abilities are invited to fight against this disease. Register today at alz.org/Tucson Park.
Saturdays are made for football, and when the game is on, we're finally off. Off duty, offline, out of office. A cracked Coors Light is our do not disturb message to the world. On game day, we don't think about the 9 to 5, but worry about the 4th and 1. So this Saturday, grab a Coors Light, press play on some pigskin, and pause on everything else. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment, made to chill. 2021 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
The pandemic is over, but COVID-19 is here to stay. In fact, it's still among the top 5 leading causes of death in the U.S., just after heart disease and cancer. So this fall, stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 vaccines, just like you do with the flu, because you've got no time for 19. The vaccine may not be for everyone. Please consult with your doctor. Brought to you by Moderna.
Lowe's knows pros want savings now. That's why, as an MVP's Pro Rewards member, you get volume savings on orders of $1,500 or more at the Pro Desk. And there's more. We've lowered our prices on select top products like electrical wire and drywall, so you can get the job necessities for less. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. In-store only. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
The moments that matter to Wildcats fans are only on 1290. Whether we win,
put together a solid one tonight. Arizona 31, Texas El Paso 10. That's your final.
Or whether we lose.
For review, the runner's elbow was down with the ball short of the 15-yard line.
1290 is always there by your side to bring you all the raw emotion of the moments that matter to Wildcats fans. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
I know where I'll be this October.
Where's that?
There's a spot in Tucson that's bringing all the next level thrills, unbeatable winning, exciting entertainment, and fall-tastic fun.
I know the place.
Desert Diamond Casino. I can't wait to get in on all the action.
Tell me more.
Check it out. With the Thirsty Thursday Tribute Series, you can catch awesome live shows for free at Sahuarita's Diamond Center.
See you there.
Also on Thursdays at Tucson, Rolling Up Riches.
All right, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Women's basketball season begins tomorrow night for the Arizona Wildcats. They will play 2 exhibition games, just like the men are playing, and their first of their 2 exhibition games is tomorrow night. In fact, they'll play them a week apart, will the Arizona Wildcats, and we will have both of those games. In fact, we're going to have the majority of the schedule here on K-Cub 1290, Wildcats Radio 1290 this season, and that'll be including those 2 ball games that are coming up. The women are going to be playing tomorrow night against West Texas A&M, and then they're going to be playing next Wednesday night against Point Loma. So those will be their 2 exhibition games. Both of those will be at 6 o'clock, and you will hear both of those games right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. Now, something great happening as well with Adia Barnes. Adia Barnes has had the chance the last couple of years to be involved with Nike's think tank. And it's just been a collection of women who have done great things throughout the sports world. And one of the things that she has been able to do through this now is create a partnership here locally with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson. And so we are going to right now welcome in the CEO and the clubhouse director for the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Tucson. Denise Waters and Nigel Bigby join us. Folks, welcome to the program.
Hi there. Thanks for having us. We're very excited.
Outstanding. So you guys had a press conference yesterday over at McHale Center with head coach Adia Barnes to announce this new partnership. First of all, Denise, I'll start with you. Give us a timeline of when Adia reached out to you about what she wanted to do in creating this partnership with the Boys and the Girls Club.
Oh, okay. It was probably about 6 months ago that she reached out and said that she was being inducted into the Nike think tank, and as one of the initiatives for that, she was going to be given some funding to provide to a nonprofit. And of course, being as a community partner on our board, she immediately said, well, I want it to go to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson. So she contacted me, and I put our team together, and we sat down and started brainstorming what an initiative would look like. I wanted something that would be in her legacy and something that would really be focused around her girls, her team, and our girls. And once we started talking about putting a league of basketball teams together with our clubs and how that could also scale, not only in Tucson, but outside of Tucson, and how it could span a couple of years. We all started thinking about how that could marry up to life challenges and just the challenges that our club kids, our club girls have in everyday life, and came up with the master class. Joan Bombasini, the former coach, had started a Girl Power Day years ago, pre-COVID, and we knew that Adia really, really liked that idea as well. So we started thinking about, and we just kept brainstorming, what would master classes look like? Who would be the local female athletes and leaders that we'd like to talk to the girls? What would the name of this whole thing be? And we really wanted something that would be in her legacy as well. And so when we presented it, I think she was very on board, very excited about the focus on girls and empowering girls and the future leaders, and really giving them an opportunity that, as you could see from yesterday's press conference, she and I certainly didn't have while we were growing up. And some of the girls even playing for her now mentioned that they were playing on boys' teams and there weren't girls' teams. And so just being able to provide these young youth, or their youth, Tucson youth and beyond, this opportunity, I think, is just really where we wanted to focus.
Denise Waters is our guest. She is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson. The partnership is called the Adia Barnes Sports and Leadership Academy, and it is launching this fall. And we'll bring in Nigel Bigby as well. And Nigel, how is this going to work in terms of, obviously you have a number of kids that are already involved in the Boys and the Girls Clubs here in Tucson. Do you imagine you'll have more young girls who will get involved now as a part of wanting to be a part of this Sports and Leadership Academy?
Yes. I can say at my clubhouse, we've already had our young members asking, when does it start? When does practice start? What do we get? How is it going to work? And talking with parents, they're really excited because as of right now, we don't have a league for these young women. And so this has allowed us to jumpstart it with everything that we need. So every clubhouse is going to be provided the new nets, scoreboards, ref uniforms, jerseys, everything that they need to start a league. So it's not coming straight from, like in the AAU, it's not a pay-to-play type thing. It is a Boys and Girls Club where a majority of our members come for free, and it only costs $20 a year, and that's a stretch for a lot of our kids. So this program allows us to reach out to a lot of young women across the city.
And what is that? What do you think this is going to mean for? Obviously, this is going to be a program that really focuses on reaching at-risk youth, at-risk young women in our Southern Arizona community. What is this going to mean for them to be able to not only? I'm sure that, as you mentioned, there's a sports aspect to it, a basketball aspect to it, but it sounds like you're going to be bringing in, and Denise, maybe you can touch on this as well. It sounds like you're going to be bringing in other powerful, educated females like Adia Barnes to also speak to these young women about life and how they should be setting themselves up for success.
Absolutely. I mean, we already have a list of women here in Tucson, and I'll drop some of them. We're going to have Joan Bonvicini, obviously, Adia, Kim Adair, who is one of the only females in the Collegiate Bowl arena, as you know, running the Arizona Bowl. We'd like to have Rocky LaRose. We'd like to have Susan Gray from TEP, who's also on our board. Just some strong female mentors and leaders who can come and talk to these girls about, what their life challenges were and how they got to the point where they are, myself included, at being a Boys and Girls Club kid on the East Coast, how I started out in the Boys and Girls Club, and look where I am. It came full circle. So just showing them that there's so much opportunity, even just the jobs that are available, like, being an assistant to Adia and helping with training for the girls that are playing on her team who are going to run these clinics and talk to them about, even yesterday at the press conference, 2 or 3 of them are Boys and Girls Club kids themselves. So how the discipline of even just being in sports, but just how they had life challenges and they overcame those. They realized how they needed to be disciplined. They realized that gave them, the academic awareness to be able to get to college, and how they just went that trajectory and what it entailed. And I think when these girls see that, they're going to say, oh, I can do that. I can go down that path. I can stay focused and disciplined, but also just opening up that arena of what opportunities there are for women as a career path, and what that looks like to young girls, so they can envision themselves contributing in the community.
Denise Waters, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson. She's the CEO, also joined by Clubhouse Director Nigel Bigby. Now, Nigel, give me kind of an emphasis in terms of how many kids, how many young women are involved with the Boys and Girls Clubs throughout Southern Arizona, and is this just going to be at one particular location, or is it going to be at multiple locations?
So we'll start out just with the Tucson location,
okay,
in hopes of growing this into the Sierra Vista, Nogales, Phoenix, Valley. That is the goal, but we have to set the standard here first and, figure out a structure and an organization so that we can take it there, and it's not something that needs to be worked on. It's a plug-and-play type of thing. And there's over 4,000 young women that we serve here. annually. And I can tell you just to touch on what Denise was talking about, the scope of the opportunities for these young ladies. I was sitting here thinking, talking to some of my staff today, because there's a few young ladies who don't want to play basketball, but we'll need scoreboard operators, we'll need referees, we'll need team photographers, there's cheer. So trying to incorporate that into this, and I didn't necessarily talk to everyone about this, but those are opportunities that we can provide because we have access to cameras. We have, like I said, we're getting all the scoreboards and things like that. So not just having this as a basketball camp, but a full program, a full sports program, because, you know, it takes a lot more than just a scoreboard operator and a ref and, you know, basketball players to run a league. There's social media aspect to it. So incorporating every aspect of sport into this academy.
Okay, so if a child right now is not involved with the Boys and Girls Club, a young woman here in Tucson, and she wants to be, how can she get involved? Give me the phone number or if there's a website that folks can go to get involved and have an opportunity to take part in this program.
Yeah, so you go to bgctucson.org. In the top right, there's a bright orange button that says enroll. There are 5 clubhouses you can enroll at. You just don't have to participate at the Steve Drew Clubhouse. I'm a little biased. You can definitely come to mine, you know. But like I said, there's other sites across the city that are awesome and amazing. It costs you $20. You can pay online. We do have scholarship programs. As I said before, 80% of the youth that we serve are scholarship. It's $20 for the school year. So you can sign up, go in, talk to your director, your program director, and that's how you get involved in this program.
So then there are multiple locations in terms of here in Tucson.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, Denise and Nigel, appreciate you guys taking a few minutes to join us. Again, this is an outstanding a program that you guys have partnered in with Nike and Adia Barnes to get going here in Southern Arizona. It is the Adia Barnes Sports and Leadership Academy, and it begins this fall through the Boys and Girls Clubs of Tucson. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Denise
We're so
Waters.
excited.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Denise Waters, the CEO, and the clubhouse director, Nigel Bigby of the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Tucson. All right. We have got to get a break in here. When we come back, Roadrunners win today 2-1. Goaltender Matthew Vallata is going to join us. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Stalled vehicle, golf links, and Pantano. Watch for collisions at Swan and Speedway. Broadway and Euclid, a crash reported. Grant Road and Alvernon. Columbus and Grant Road is also clearing. There's some backups at Grant Road and Alvernon. Also more slowdowns westbound on Grant Road, westbound Speedway, both approaching I-10. Weather-wise, chance of scattered thunderstorms throughout this afternoon, 57 and low with partly cloudy skies and 71 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by GeneratorFranchise.com. Millions protect their homes from power outages with Generac home standby generators. Would you like to be part of this lucrative industry? Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer, has limited franchise opportunities in your area. Learn more at GeneratorFranchise.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy.
The Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket, getting you home when traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
All right, the Tucson Roadrunners had day hockey today over at the arena. It was Kids Day. A lot of field trip folks in the building to watch the Roadrunners defeat the San Diego Gulls by a score of 2-1, and we are pleased to be joined by the new goaltender for the Tucson Roadrunners. Matthew Villalta joins us. He comes over from the Los Angeles Kings organization in his first season with the Coyotes organization. And first of all, Matthew, welcome. You've been here to Tucson a number of times, having been in the American League with the Ontario Reign and in the past few seasons. But what's it like now to kind of be able to put on the Tucson uniform and play in the Coyotes organization?
Hey, thank you, sir. Appreciate you having me on the call. And just want to say, start off with, it's a great pleasure, to put on the Tucson jersey for the first couple of times these past couple of weeks. And it's just fun to, start winning some games with the boys. And we seem to be off trending in a great direction. But, yeah, obviously I've been on the other side of the rink there, in the other locker room the last couple of years. But I could not be happier to be a part of the Tucson Roadrunners.
Now, drafted initially, as we mentioned, by the Kings, did you anticipate that there might be another franchise coming into play for you at this point in your career?
That's a really good question. Obviously, I feel like going back to last year, and I was never traded to a team or signed with another team. So, I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, hockey's a business, and it's always a possibility that you end up somewhere else. But I think at the time, I kind of had like a little bit of an idea that I'd be going to a new organization. But I could not be happier that it's Arizona and also Tucson. So I think, I'm very grateful and thankful for where I ended up, and it's just a great organization to be a part of with a bright future.
Matthew Villalta joining us, came over to the Coyotes organization this past summer from the Los Angeles Kings, first year playing here in Tucson. And it's interesting, Matthew. We've had a long stretch. We've really, this franchise has only been here in Tucson. I think this is season number 8. And it seems like we've really only had 2 goaltenders in that 8-year stretch. There's the great Aiden Hill, who played here over 4 seasons and went on and did a fabulous thing last year in helping the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup. And then there was Ivan Prosvetov, who essentially came in after Aiden left, and he's been the goaltender here over the course of the last 4 seasons. First of all, I guess, how familiar are you with Aiden Hill, what he was able to do, kind of the trek that he was on to get to where he is? And do you envision that that's a path that similarly could take place for you?
Yeah, of course. I remember playing Aiden Hill my first year pro, actually here in Tucson. And obviously, he's went on to have, a great career and, winning a Stanley Cup. And I feel like that's what every kid dreams about when they grow up playing hockey. So I think if you look at the Arizona Coyotes organization as a whole and seeing players that they produce and develop, and they may go on to different organizations, but I feel like they get set up with a great foundation here in Arizona and Tucson. And I feel like they go on to have, really, really great careers. And, for myself now, being with the Coyotes and here in Tucson, I want to, do everything I can to put myself in the best spot for success. And, that's showing up every day, putting in the hard work and, having a positive attitude. So, obviously, I hope to stay here for a very long time. And I just feel like that's where I'm at right now. And just, great organization, great coaching staff. They take care of us, all the equipment guys. So it's just a great spot to be. And I'm very excited, keep honing my craft here in Tucson.
3-1 to start the season. You guys got a couple of road wins down in Texas. Came home, stumbled a bit on Saturday in the game against Coachella, but then rebounding today. What has gone right defensively for this team in the 3 games that you guys have won?
Yeah, I think it's just, obviously we had a very good start to the year, and, we're very excited for the future. But I think the biggest thing is, as a group, we're uniting on defense, and everyone is doing their job. And I feel like when everyone's when they're doing their job well, good things happen. So I think the biggest thing is guys, they're paying attention in, our meetings, and they're very deliberate, and they work hard in practice on, figuring out our systems and, learning how we want to play in our D zone. And I feel like if you take care of the D zone really well, it's gonna, you're gonna transition well, and that's gonna create more time in the O zone. So I feel like just everyone doing their job, buying in, whether that's blocking shots, taking a hit to make a play, and I feel like that's what's kind of happening with us right now. So I feel like we're trending in a great direction. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think we're pretty happy with how things are going so far.
Roadrunners goaltender Matthew Villalta is our guest. Roadrunners win today by a score of 2-1 over the San Diego Gulls. Matthew, in his first 4 games, wearing the Tucson Roadrunners uniform. Give me your background in this game, Matthew. You're from Kingston, Ontario. Did you grow up a Maple Leafs fan? What was your kind of hockey history?
Yeah, so I grew up just outside of Kingston, Ontario. Grew up in a small town called Godfrey, Ontario, and I grew up on a farm. We had some cattle, horses, and chickens, and my grandparents' farm and my parents' farm, they're both connected or on the same property, so we probably got about 800 acres of land, and I'm just growing up on the farm and doing all the chores out there, and I would say I consider myself as a country boy, so I'm very fortunate too that, my parents, they have a place out on a lake back home, so that's kind of where I guess I got into the game of hockey was, in the wintertime back home in Canada, the lakes freeze over, and my dad would always shovel off a little rink, and we'd get out on the pond and, just play pond hockey. And I probably started skating when I was maybe 3 years old and fell in love with the game, and started watching the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Eddie Belfour when I was young was the guy on the Leafs, the goalie, and I honestly think I just fell in love with his paint job on his mask. I think he had an eagle on his helmet, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I think I just asked my parents, hey, can I give this goaltending gig a shot? And I'm very thankful for them that they gave me the opportunity to play, and kind of just went from there. Just played to have fun, play with my friends, and I feel like as I got older, just played in Kingston with the local team in Kingston, and very fortunate I got an opportunity with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in the OHL, and just kind of went there, tried to put my best foot forward and make most of the opportunity. And I think the year later I was drafted by the Kings, and then I guess the rest is history with that. Now I'm here in Tucson, and I couldn't be more happy and grateful and thankful for everything that people have done to help me, and it's kind of been a fun journey so far.
All right, Matthew, I'm going to ask you this question. As a kid, that obviously I did not grow up in Canada, but as a kid that grew up in Canada, so is there a prototype for kids that kind of gravitate to the goaltending position, and do you fit that prototype?
That's a good question. Obviously, I feel like there's a stereotype out there in the hockey world that goalies are a little crazy in the head. And, I mean, I'd have to agree with it somewhat, just because we stand in the net, we're getting hit with pucks coming at us like 90 miles an hour. So I feel like a part of that you might need to be a little bit crazy for. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like as a goalie it's good to be calm and pretty chill, and you can handle pressure well. So I don't know. That's a good question you ask, but I would say there's a little bit of a stereotype around goalies, and I'd like to think I'm a little bit more chill than the stereotype, I guess. But depends how you look at it, I suppose.
So now, do they let you, when you're growing up playing goaltender, do they let you kind of do anything crazy with your mask, or do you just have to kind of wear the the stationary kind of normal mast. They don't let you like do any kind of crazy designs or painting or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess growing up, I mean, I guess for the listeners who might not be too familiar with like goalie gear, but goalie gear is very expensive, and at the time, obviously, my parents were, buying all my stuff. So I always just had the plain Jane helmet, just the white helmet, no paint job or anything, and it was pretty simple setup. Whatever you go into a hockey store and find, and whatever fitted me at the time, that's what I always went with. And it wasn't until I went to junior, and that's kind of when the team start, buying all your gear and whatnot, and mom and dad didn't have to, keep putting out money. So I think when I turned 17 was when I played in Sault Ste. Marie, and that was my first ever custom paint job, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and obviously very fortunate, to have that taken care of now. So got to thank my parents for supplying me with everything I need, and helping me get to where I am now.
Matthew, what's your favorite thing to do outdoors?
I love hunting and fishing.
Okay. What's your favorite fish to catch?
Oh, on my parents' lake back home, we have largemouth bass.
Mm.
So that's when bass season opens up, usually on our lake back home, there's a big tournament, and my brother and I and a couple of my friends back home, we usually enter in the tournament, and we fish for some largemouth, and I would say that's probably the most fun we have is out on the lake with all of our buddies and just hanging out and catching fish.
All right, we had this conversation over the summer. Live bait or fake bait?
I feel like I'm a fake bait. I like using lures and crankbaits. I'm more of that speed. I used to use worms as a when I was a young kid, but I was always grossed out when I was young putting a worm on the hook. So I always made my dad put it on for me. But I think as I got a little older, I kind of hardened up a bit and realized it wasn't that bad. And then as I got more into it, I started doing more research and whatnot, and then I got into using some lures, and that's how I've been fishing ever since.
Outstanding. Well, Matthew and his Roadrunners back at home this weekend for a couple of games Friday and Saturday night against the Bakersfield Condors. Head on down to the arena and check out this 8th version of your Tucson Roadrunners. Matthew, do you go by Matthew or Matt? Can we call you Matt for short?
Yeah, Matt works great. That's perfect.
Outstanding. Matt Villalta is our guest. Hey, Matt, appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us. Congratulations on the win today, and best of luck this weekend against the Condors.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having me on.
Matthew Villalta, the new goaltender for your Tucson Roadrunners. Really just the third goaltender in 8 years after Aiden Hill and Ivan Prosvetov. Ivan snatched up by the Colorado Avalanche at the end of training camp of this year, and Matthew Villalta now the man here in Southern Arizona. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Stalled vehicle golf links and Pantano. Watch for collisions at Swan and Speedway. Broadway and Euclid a crash reported. Grant Road and Alvernon. Columbus and Grant Road is also clearing. There's some backups at Grant Road and Alvernon. Also more slowdowns westbound on Grant Road, westbound Speedway, both approaching I-10. Weather-wise, chance of scattered thunderstorms throughout this afternoon, 57 and low with partly cloudy skies and 71 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by GeneratorFranchise.com. Millions protect their homes from power outages with Generac home standby generators. Would you like to be part of this lucrative industry? Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer, has limited franchise opportunities in your area. Learn more at GeneratorFranchise.com.
It's no contest to... 1290.
Work it up the far side. As it comes, Agazino, left wing wall, 7 seconds left. Koyachani comes in, takes it away. Roadrunners clear it off a body, comes back out to the neutral zone. 3 seconds left, working to the empty net. Leonard, and we're out of time. Roadrunners win 2-1. Good job by Tucson in the later stages there, keeping San Diego to the outside, getting those pucks out, and holding on for this.
That's our guy, Adrian Denny, with the call on Roadrunners Radio. Roadrunners win today by a score of 2-1 over the San Diego Gulls. Matthew Villalta, we appreciate him taking a few minutes to join us. Matthew today, 22 saves on 23 shots, allowed just one to get through in this contest. Roadrunners took the lead early, just 3 minutes and 48 seconds into today's afternoon affair.
Steven Camper up the right wing wall. Ryan McGregor down low. As we're past 3 minutes and 40 seconds gone by in the first. Kellerman comes in, picks up a loose puck, crosses in, centers in front, they score! Hunter Drew for San Diego for the last 4 years goes right out in front on his second shift as a Roadrunner, and Tucson takes a 1-0 lead, 3:48 into the first period.
Hunter Drew getting his old mates there. San Diego, though, would tie the game in the second on a goal by Trevor Carrick. It would be 1-1 just 47 seconds into the third.
Steranko in the draw as Koyachani off the faceoff turns it in. Here's Kellerman trying to grind it in that right wing corner. Now Nathan Smith picks it up. Nate turns, backhander on front. Dylan Guthrie scores! And the Roadrunners take a 2-1 lead. What a backdoor pass from Nate. Kellerman got it all started. And Tucson, 47 seconds into the third on Dylan Gunther's first goal as a Roadrunner, takes a 2-1 lead.
So Dylan Gunther with the game-winning goal today. 2-1 again, your final. Miles Kellerman had a couple of assists today. So your 3 stars, are you familiar with hockey, J-Dub? They do stars of the game, 3 stars after every game.
Pretend like I'm not.
Oh, okay. So you get 3 stars. And usually they can be all from one team, but sometimes it's a combination of guys from both teams.
Sure.
Are your 3 stars of the game. So your 3 stars from today's game are Dylan Gunther, who got one of the goals that you heard there, Miles Kellerman, who assisted on both of the goals today, and Hunter Drew is your 3rd star as he had the other goal, the first goal of the game for the Roadrunners.
You're a play-by-play guy
Yes.
at heart. My favorite thing about hockey play-by-play is it's super subdued. You're just like chilling.
Right, exactly.
You're like drinking some lemonade on the porch on your swing. And then all of a sudden it's like drinking 70 Red Bulls all at once. Like the rate at which they get really excited really fast.
Unless it's like a breakaway, the goals generally happen real fast. It's not like that's why I was like, man, if I was calling this, I'd like the breakaways because at least you can kind of build up as the guy's going down there to get ready for the shot. But a lot of times there's just so many bodies around the net that you don't even know if the puck is going in.
It's tough. I mean, like I think if you grew up in Minnesota or anywhere in Canada, obviously you grew up following the puck with your eyes, so it becomes a very learned skill. And when I think it was Fox, right? They put the chip in the puck in the early 2000s so that those of us who didn't grow up watching hockey could maybe follow along a little bit. Because you're right. I mean, a lot of times it's pretty easy to watch the action when there's a dominant puck handler, but when the ball's moving from player to, or the puck, is moving from player to player, it's really sometimes harder for those of us who aren't didn't grow up. Those of us maybe who grew up in Tucson, Arizona. No disrespect to Ice Cats, I remember that era. But it's always, I think, a little harder for me relative to basketball, baseball, football.
All right, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Did you go down and see the Roadrunners today? I want to hear from you on that. It was field trip day, so a lot of kids in the building. I don't know that I'm trying to remember if they've done that before. I don't remember too many day contests for Roadrunners hockey, but they had one today.
Those kids are going to grow up learning how to follow the puck with their eyes. No doubt.
Oh, yes. They are indeed. Those are always fun. Now, when I worked in minor league baseball, did minor league baseball for a number of years, and we would have the field trip games, and it was always so funny because it would be loud. I mean loud. And then they would pump and play like the music of the day.
Right.
So like a lot of times it seemed like I always remember the one in New Orleans because we got in New Orleans and it would always be like, I mean, it would be just like I mean, it was like you were at the club.
Sure.
With the music they were playing
Sure.
in between the breaks and whatnot. And then in the 6th inning, all the kids would clear out. All the kids would clear out because you got to go back to school. And so the last like 3 innings, it's like total silence. So it would go from being loud, screaming, screeching kids to absolutely total silence for the last 2 or 3 innings. And I would imagine that might have been what it was like today. The first few periods, couple to 2.5 periods was probably really loud, and then they all cleared out, and it got really quiet towards the end. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Let's talk to Jesus. You're on Wildcats Radio 1290, DK on the Sports Tip.
Hey, I just wanted to give a shout-out to the Roadrunners for doing that. I'm a school principal at Drachman Montessori, and my kids loved it, and they really, it's an opportunity they all don't get naturally and stuff, and a sport that they don't get to just grow up playing and stuff, but they came back to school wanting to do a rollerblade team and like Mighty Duck stuff. So it was an amazing opportunity that they were able to stay to the end. They survived the rain because we were able to walk there, how close we are to downtown. So I just want to give them a shout out for doing that.
That's awesome. So how many kids did you guys get a chance to take down there today?
We sent around 40.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. And front row seats. It was beautiful. So.
I'm sure for some of those kids, they'd never been to a hockey game before.
No, they had no idea that was even a sport. I mean, we were kind of economically not up there, so they don't have access to much to see. So they grew up playing soccer and baseball and football. So, yeah, but they came back excited, trying to talk to other schools to see if we could start some type of a rollerblade team like Mighty Ducks.
That's awesome, Jesus. That's awesome that your kids got a chance to go out there and say, what was the name of the school again? Shout it out one more time.
Yeah, we're a Drachman Montessori Magnet School.
Drachman
right
Montessori, right there downtown. Yeah. Awesome. Jesus,
Yep.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Jesus from Drachman Montessori took his kids down to the game today.
Hey, a whole new generation of hockey players.
Exactly.
And hockey fans.
Hockey fans. That's right. That's what it's all about. Growing the sport here in Arizona. That's why we've got to do everything we can to keep hockey here in Arizona. I don't think a lot of people really realize, that this whole thing in the Valley about finding the Coyotes somewhere to play is tied to us, because if the Coyotes at some point are gone, we're not going to have hockey here in Southern Arizona, because the Roadrunners will not. It's not like the Coyotes are going to get up and move wherever they may move and keep their AAA club here in Tucson. They're probably going to take their AAA club with them. Now, there's a possibility if they go somewhere else in the West that they could keep their team down here to have a presence in Southern Arizona, but that's no guarantee, and it's definitely no guarantee if the Coyotes move somewhere else. If they potentially move back to Canada or somewhere else, they definitely would not have their top club that far away from the home base.
Yeah, I think, obviously fan support is so closely tied into getting the revenue for those new facilities. My question, DK, is since we have so many transplants from the Midwest and the East Coast who come to Arizona mostly to escape cold weather, right? To maybe have a November that they don't have to worry about shoveling out their snow out of their driveway every single morning. I would hope that they maybe miss that element and that hockey can bring them back, even if it's just for a few hours, into that. But maybe it's the other thing where they just don't want to be around, the cold so much, because I don't know. I feel like if there's a successful team, right, the fan support will show up, and then you build upon that. And that's how all fan bases work. When you have such a very mixed-mass patchwork group of people from all different, parts of the country, it's harder, I think, in that case to build up a fan base.
It is. And, again, that's one of the things that the Coyotes have tried to do with their existence here is really, and they have. I mean, we have grown some of the better players. Austin Matthews, obviously, is the main example a kid that grew up here in Arizona and now is one of the top players in the National Hockey League. So if you lose it, it's going to be detrimental, I think, to the entire state. You don't want that to happen. So it's very important for us down here in Southern Arizona to keep a close eye on what's happening in the Valley and really press and push for this franchise to get a new home. I'll say I don't necessarily understand why it has to be a separate facility of the Suns. I think that part is a little crazy to me, considering that there are so many teams that share buildings in terms of basketball and hockey. I understand there were some sightline issues with the arena downtown, but I'm sure that they could figure out a way to make that work. And to me, that makes the most sense, especially if you cannot get a facility built in another area of the Valley, but they'll continue to do that. We had Xavier Gutierrez on a few weeks ago, and he pledged that that's what they continue to do. Is they moved right on from the Tempe loss at the ballot to the next thing, and continually trying to find a new home in Arizona. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Let's give you your Diamondbacks download for today.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
All right, we are just about 36 minutes away from first pitch in Philadelphia. It is the Diamondbacks and the Philadelphia Phillies. Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. 5:07 is first pitch. It'll be Brandon Pfaadt on the mound. The rookie gets the ball in Game 7. This reminds me, again, I go back to my baseball memories. This reminds me of 1997 when the Indians had a young pitcher by the name of Jarrett Wright, a rookie that came up about 3/4 of the way through the season, pitched well down the stretch, and essentially became the ace in the postseason. And that's kind of what's happened with Brandon Pfaadt. Not, I think, to the success. He hasn't been maybe as dominating as you would have thought. I mean, he was horrible at the beginning of the season. And trust me, I know, because this is the Diamondbacks' top pitching prospect. And they brought him up on May the 3rd from AAA. And as soon as they brought him up, I signed him. I picked him up for my fantasy team because I was like, this is the guy. I'm going to pick him up because if he turns into something great, I'm going to be like in love with it. Well, he was horrible for like the first month that he was in the big leagues. He made 6 starts, and his ERA when he got sent back down was 9.82. And he did not get out of the 6th inning of any of those 6 starts. So he went back down, spent another month in Reno, and since he has been back up, he has made 12 starts, and his ERA over those 12 starts was 4.22. So not awesome, but a whole lot better. And his strikeout rate got a lot better. He struck out 73 in 70 1/3 innings since he got called back up from AAA. And now he has really turned it on in the postseason as Brandon Pfaadt to be the kid who gets the ball here in Game 7 to try to pitch Arizona into the World Series.
4 hits in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So he gave up 7 in that first outing versus Milwaukee, game that they won 6-3. He gave up 7 hits in that game, 3 runs. But since then, versus the Dodgers and Philadelphia in the last 2 outings, he's only given up 2 hits in each of those games, no runs.
5 2/3 innings in the game, Game 3. In the game that the Diamondbacks won in the walk-off. We talked about that yesterday. Our guy Garrett Gillespie was there.
9 strikeouts.
9 strikeouts, no runs, 2 hits in those 5 2/3 innings. So if you get that Brandon Pfaadt tonight, you got to be feeling really good about yourself because it's going to be all hands on deck. There was an incident last night, when they took out Merrill Kelly, and Merrill was not aware he was going to be taking out Cousin Merrill.
Merrill?
They took out Cousin Merrill, and Cousin Merrill kind of looked sideways at Torey Lovello, like, what in the hell are you doing?
Okay, come on, though, DK. You're a baseball. How many times has a pitcher been taken out that he didn't look sideways at the pitching coach or manager, right?
Exactly.
Like, they always think they should stay out there.
Exactly. But The reason the bullpen has been great, and maybe one of the reasons you do that is because, again, this is a Game 7. All hands are on deck.
Yes.
And you might be able to get those 10 pitches. You could have left him in there for another 10 to 15 pitches last night. Maybe you give him those 10 to 15 pitches tonight in a situation where you might need it.
These are the great games. I mean, not that Arizona has, no disrespect, but not that Arizona has an all-world dominating starting pitcher, right? But these are the games, these Game 7s, where you see those guys. Kurt Schillings used to do back in the day. Well, they'll come out of the bullpen in like the 8th inning and pitch 1 inning. So you'll see guys who you're used to only seeing in the starting lineups for being starting pitching because there is no tomorrow. There's after today. If you lose this game, it's summertime.
Randy Johnson pitched the 9th inning.
Exactly.
Of Game 7. The last time the Diamondbacks were in the World Series. So it'll be all hands on deck. Zach Gallen could get the ball tonight. Merrill Kelly could get the ball tonight. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and it starts at 5:07. When we come back, we'll hear from Brandon Pfaadt. And again, he talked yesterday about the opportunity potentially to pitch in a Game 7. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With some slowdowns, busy travel on westbound Grant Road at Campbell, also on westbound Grant Road at I-10. Reports of wires down on Irvington at Benson Highway, collisions, Ina and Thornydale, Swan and Speedway, and also stalled vehicle Tucson Boulevard and Speedway. Chance of showers continuing this afternoon, 57 the low with partly cloudy skies, and 72 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by GeneratorFranchise.com. Millions protect their homes from power outages with Generac home standby generators. Would you like to be part of this lucrative industry? Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer, has limited franchise opportunities in your area. Learn more at GeneratorFranchise.com.
License 2.
The Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. No Dave Hickey today. We normally have Dave Hickey in the 440 segment, but Dave is off doing the business of athletic directors today, so we will not have him on the program. He is a busy man, so hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to Dave next week.
We do have, though, DK.
Who's that?
We have official basketball.
Has
actually started. Woohoo.
It has.
Yeah.
The NBA is underway. The Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers, the two teams that were in the Western Conference Finals last year. And we mentioned yesterday, in fact, let's hear right now, we mentioned that Zeke Naji got a new contract just in time for his fourth season in the National Basketball Association. He was one of two Wildcats to get new deals. He and Josh Green both getting new contracts. Did you see the funny? We can't play this on the air, but did you see the funny DeAndre Jordan?
I did. I've seen a lot of DeAndre Jordan stuff. Like, you'd have to be more specific.
So DeAndre Jordan, while Zeke was talking to the media yesterday,
right?
DeAndre Jordan comes up behind him and says, "Yeah." What did he? Oh gosh, I can't now. Just that quick, I forgot
something inappropriate for the radio.
He said something. He said, "Rich ass Zeke." Is what he said.
Right.
Rich ass Zeke.
Yeah. Yeah, he's doing all right. And for the record, as is the norm for these interviews, this is being done while 27 people are bouncing basketballs right behind Zeke Naji.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So let's hear from Zeke Naji on his new contract in the NBA.
Yeah, I knew it was coming, and I'm super happy about it. All praise to the Most High. Super grateful for him. Without him, I wouldn't be in this position. So, yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic and happy to officially done. So, yeah.
Well, and what's it say about their, I guess, belief in you? Because obviously the season hasn't ended the way you wanted because of injury. That they trust you, they want you around. I'm sure you might get the idea.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it showed that they have a trust and belief in me, and I'm ready to help this team win as a running back. And I'm feeling great and healthy, so I'm ready to go.
All right, Zeke Naji gets a 4-year, $32 million deal. It includes a player option on that fourth year, and just an outstanding opportunity for him. He was the 20th overall pick back in 2020, the NBA draft of 2020. He has averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 14 minutes for the Nuggets through his career, including shooting 56% from the floor. So, again, it is this year he is expected to have a larger role than he has had in the past.
The other Wildcat, I think the biggest story that came out this summer from Aaron Gordon, Wildcat favorite, twice robbed in the dunk contest, Aaron Gordon, was that he built his house around a basketball court. You hear about all that?
No.
He built a full court, like NBA regulation basketball court, as his house, more or less, is what people are talking about. Like, you always hear these stories. Like, we've seen Shaq and Kobe and Jordan, all those guys have courts in their houses that are more or less half court type of deals. But he has a full court. He has some kind of crazy court. Everybody's talking about it. Yeah.
Where is his house?
In
at?
Denver.
It's in Denver.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So wonder if he built like little stands around it so people can come and watch.
I don't know the logistics, but what I do know is this: is that all he said, DK, ever since his exit interview and when he was being interviewed after the Denver Nuggets won the title, was that Aaron Gordon was going back to work. Right? Like, all he's ever said was about how, because I think he's 26, 27. I mean, he's not an old man. He's got a lot of basketball left to be played. And it's obviously a huge confidence boost for a young player like that. And young. I mean, I think he got into the NBA at 18. So he's been in the NBA for eight years or so now. But yeah, I think he is very serious about getting better and improving. And, the Nuggets, they lost Bruce Brown. But otherwise, they pretty much kept their title team intact. So I think Aaron Gordon is going to have a lot to say about the success of the Nuggets again this year.
I'm sure there's got to be pictures of this. I'm kind of looking real quick. Is this it here? Maybe this might be a view of the half court at Aaron Gordon's warehouse home and gym in Mount Bello, Colorado. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. It's got a nice, interesting insignia. His insignia, I guess. On the floor, kind of an A and a G kind of curved kind of thing. And he's got all kinds of murals on the walls. Looks like Bob Marley's up there. I can't see any of the other people or make any of them out. But, yeah, I mean, hey, when you got kind of money, you might as well go out and do it, right?
I saw an interview some months ago, so it's not exactly fresh in my mind, but I believe that a lot of the murals on the walls are all inspirational people that he looks up to, that he takes inspiration from.
Prince is up there. Biggie is up there. Stuart Scott is up there. Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of it's got a little area there where he can pull his Maserati or whatever that car is right in next to it.
Whatever car he wants at this point.
Whatever car he wants at this point. Exactly. This is good stuff. He's got Martin Luther King up there. He's got who is the guy that played the Joker that died?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. He's got Heath Ledger up there as a mural. Yeah. Mac Miller.
28
Barack
years old.
Obama smoking.
Smoking
Barack Obama.
Right, of course. I shortchanged him 1 year. He's 28 years old, believe it or not.
Nice.
Because I know he got on campus at the U of A as one of those 17-and-a-half-year-olds. Skipped,
right.
You know, he got here really early, skipped a grade. So, yeah, he's been in the NBA forever. Only 28 is Aaron Gordon.
All right. Well, go live for yourself, Aaron Gordon. That's awesome. He's got some good stuff going on right there. All right, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get on the program. In fact, the Suns will play later. We'll give you our question of the day once again. If you did not get it earlier, our question of the day, again, Xfinity. I've reached out to some of my Xfinity folks. We're going to try to make that happen. Maybe we'll see if we can make that happen tomorrow. Get somebody on from Xfinity just to tell us if they're even talking to the Suns. That's what I want to know. Just like, are y'all having a conversation with the team about trying to get the games on my cable so I don't have to unhook my cable and hook on an antenna just for 2 hours to watch the game? Or buy or pay for the stream on Kizawi or whatever they want to call it? So that's our question of the day. If you live in Southern Arizona and you have Xfinity Comcast, like me, which is most people that live on the north side of town. See, we have Cox Cable here in the studio. We're Southsiders or whatever you want to call it, Midtown, Central Northwest Tucson, and everything south of here and east has Cox Cable. You can get it on your channel. You don't have to have a bot. It's on one of the channels on your channel there. But if you have Xfinity Comcast, you're out of luck right now.
You know, this is just a Groundhog's Day because, you know, DirecTV in the Pac-12 is a conversation for the past, 12 years?
Yeah.
14 years. You know what would be great, DK, is if DirecTV carried the Pac-12 network this year in the final year. I think that would just be delicious irony. I think they should do that.
Oh, yeah, that would be crazy. So right now, the question again, if you live in Southern Arizona, will you unhook your TV? So if you have a cable box or a satellite, you've got to unhook that, okay, from your television. You got to get an antenna. Now, the Suns were handing these antennas out for free. I don't know if they're still doing that. I don't know if they ever came down here to hand them out for free. I know they were handing them out for free up in the valley. And then you would have to hook this antenna into your TV and watch it on subchannel 13.5. Right now, 62% of you saying, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I am not going to unhook my television from the cable and the satellite and hook in an antenna just to watch the Suns.
That sounds like some 1981 nonsense with the little switch on the back of the TV you had to switch to make your VCR work. Or whatever.
Right? Sammy Ross, our guy Sammy Ross, the principal over Pueblo, says, nope. Not in the least are people going to do that. Now, I want to go back to, I said, I threw out a question over the weekend, which I normally don't do, J-Dub, but I did this over the weekend, this past weekend, because it was hot on Saturday.
Right.
It was 95 degrees on Saturday.
Our first and only Saturday off,
right.
Mind you.
Yeah, we were off.
9 months.
We were like nowhere to be seen. I was under the covers still.
Yes.
Trying to deal with my
Recovering.
But it was 95 degrees. Imagine if we'd had a daytime college football game in Tucson on the third week of October. Well, it would have been 95 degrees at kickoff.
That's a good advantage, though, if the Pacific Northwest schools come to town.
Yeah. No question about that. That's what people say. You know, we want them to have to come out and play us because we practice in it all the time. So the question I threw out over the weekend was if Arizona had been playing a home afternoon college football game on Saturday, when it would have been 95 plus degrees at kickoff, would you have sat for 3+ hours in Arizona Stadium to watch it? All right, that was our bonus over the weekend question.
A gentleman just called in and called us knuckleheads and says that to switch to the new antenna setup, you just push a button on your remote. Just passing. I'm just the messenger.
There's a button on my remote?
No, there isn't. It just depends on the company that carries your programming. So it's basically everybody's different.
Okay.
Right?
So that's a weird one there. So in other words, I don't have a button. I don't have a button on my remote that switches to an antenna.
Right. The biggest issue.
I still can't watch it.
The biggest issue is that the Arizona Family, right, is the network system that's going to be carrying it. Matasheba said in the summer or the start of the summer, about 3 million people is their goal in Arizona to get people to be able to watch the Suns. And as I said, hopefully that includes those of us who have other systems set up, because right now, if you don't, let's say hypothetically, you don't even have a television, set up a standard television. A lot of people have cut the cable over the years, right? I think everybody's situation is just going to be unique.
Cutting the cable and not having a television at all, that's two different things.
No, cutting cable meaning that you're not paying for a subscription processes.
I see.
There's a lot of people, DK, especially people in their 20s, who don't necessarily have the standard old school living room with the big television everybody sits around and watches TV around anymore, just because it's a different world out there. YouTube, Twitch, all these other things have kind of taken over.
Yeah. So how are they going to watch the games? Are they going to pay on Kiswi?
They are going to push a button on their remote, and it's going to switch it over to Arizona Family. That's how it's going to work.
Think so. I do not think so on that one. All right. 520-848-1290. I want to hear, do you have Xfinity? Does this matter to you? Are you concerned about this? Are you like me and have Xfinity and you have no idea whether you're going to be able to watch Saturday night's game against, who are they playing Saturday night? Utah, I believe.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
the Suns,
have to look it up.
I know you said that the first two games, are nationally televised.
It's the Warriors and the Lakers are the first two games.
Yeah, Blazers.
I think it's...
Oh, no. That's preseason.
Either Portland or Utah.
Yeah, Utah on the 28th, then San Antonio.
Yeah, Utah. So are you worried about it? Being able to watch Saturday night's game against the Utah Jazz? That's our guy Lowry. First chance to see Lowry this year. I don't know. Well, you're on the north side.
I think NBA TV is carrying the other two. Like I said the other day, I think when you
they'll black it out.
I know they will. But when you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and now Bradley Beal, if he's injured or not, on the roster, there's a lot of appeal. There's a lot of eyeballs that want to be watching this particular team. So I think that they're going to be on a lot of nationally televised games as well.
You could always go to Cold Beer and Cheeseburgers. Have you been there yet?
I have not.
Oh, they opened one on Oracle. It's really, I think that's probably where I got COVID.
Let's do it. Well, not for that, though.
I went there to watch the Browns, and 2 days later I was sick. So there you go. All right, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, Wildcat Breakdown with Glenn Howe. We'll delve more into this Suns TV situation. We've got flag football playoffs going on tonight. We'll talk to you about that as well. DK on the sports tip. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Reported collisions Grande and St. Mary's. St. Mary's in Grande, Nogales Highway and Aero Park Boulevard in Oro Valley, Oracle and Rancho Vistoso in Marana, Ina and Thornydale. Slowdowns on westbound Grant, westbound Speedway at I-10, westbound Ajo at Mission, also slowing southbound La Cholla at Ajo Way. Still a chance of showers this afternoon, 57 our low with partly cloudy skies, 72 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Mucinex 12-Hour DM.
Season 4 just launched. You up for a night of binging?
Yeah, I took Mucinex 12-Hour DM. Its bilayer tablet takes care of my cough and
It's Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
T-minus 4 minutes to first pitch in Philadelphia. Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Your Arizona Diamondbacks, the Philadelphia Phillies. J-Dub, I just turned the game on, and the Philadelphia Philly, the Philly Fanatic.
The Fanatic, yes.
The Fanatic was jumping around. I told you yesterday my wife wants to become a Phillies fan now. And so I was telling her about how when we grew up, the Fanatic was just the mascot of all mascots.
Sure.
And so I pulled up some video on my phone to show my wife of the Philly Fanatic. And we were watching and some of it was newer stuff, but then there was a couple clips that went back to like the 1970s. And she was like, well, where's he at? Where's he at that he's like driving around on that green carpet?
Right. My favorite.
And I was like, babe, that's the vet.
Right, yeah.
That's Veterans Stadium there.
Yeah.
That was back in the AstroTurf days.
Oh, yeah. Everything was brightly colored AstroTurf in those days. My favorite is Green Man, actually. More so than the Fanatic. Yeah, this guy named Charlie Kelly, he dressed up as a Green Man, and he fought the Philly Fanatic, actually.
Ooh.
This is a TV show.
Somebody fought the Philly Fanatic?
It's a TV show. A longest-running live-action television show, comedy in the history of television.
Talk about dark nursery rhymes there.
It was more
somebody
like
fighting the Philly Fanatic.
It was more like the
That's
Philly
dark.
Fanatic had a monopoly on the Philly fandom and that they wouldn't allow any other mascots, and he wanted to fight for his right to be a mascot for the Phillies.
My goodness. All right. Well, yeah, you're going to lose that battle right there because, like I said, if there's anything that is baseball, it's the Philly Fanatic.
Well, you know how Phillies fans are, and so in this particular episode, in that scene, he got ganged up by all the Phillies fans came over to the Philly Fanatics rescue.
That's
and
not
beat
a
up
surprise.
Charlie Kelly. So
Philly people ganging up on folks, that's not a surprise in the least. No, not at all. All right, Brandon Pfaadt, the rookie, gets the ball today in game number 7 for your Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's hear from Brandon Pfaadt, who will try to pitch the D-backs into the World Series.
Can't really reveal my whole game plan. That's kind of a secret, but we're just going to keep attacking them, keep being aggressive, and be cautious of the home run hitters. I know that's been a problem, and try to work the game plan around that.
Brandon, if you do get the opportunity, just what would it mean to you to be on the mound, with a chance to give your team a ticket to the World Series?
It'd mean a lot. I think being in the position to start Game 7, I think that'd be huge, especially as a rookie. And I think I'm going to give it my all, give it all to the team, and try to come out with a win tomorrow.
Brandon Pfaadt meeting with the media yesterday when he did not know for sure if he was going to get a chance to start game number 7, but he will. 12 2/3 innings. He has made 3 starts in this postseason. 3 earned runs on 11 hits. He has struck out 15, so the strikeout numbers have been good, but even better, he has walked just 1 batter in the postseason in those 12 2/3 innings. Brandon Pfaadt, who had to go almost 10 starts into the season before he finally got his first win against the Cincinnati Reds back on August 25th, finished the regular season with a record of 3-9. But again, after coming back from AAA in 13 appearances, his ERA was 4.22. Not great, but much better than the 9, close to 10 ERA that he took back to the minor leagues after his initial call-up in early May and into June. 5:07, first pitch, Arizona and Philadelphia. We will recap it for you tomorrow and let you know if the Diamondbacks are going to the World Series. It'll be a World Series that will begin this weekend in Fort Worth, Texas, because the Rangers have the home field advantage in the World Series. So games 1 and games 2 will be in Dallas. That will start, what's today? Tuesday, Friday night. Friday night is game 1, and that'll be a 5:03 start time, regardless of who the opponent is, be it the Diamondbacks or be it the Phillies. All right, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Last hour, we had some great folks on from the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Tucson. Their CEO, Denise Waters, their clubhouse director, Nigel Bigby. Yesterday, they did a press conference at McHale Center with Adia Barnes to announce a partnership between Adia and the Boys and Girls Clubs and Nike for the Adia Barnes Sports and Leadership Academy. This is going to be something that's going to really impact hundreds of at-risk young women here in southern Arizona and giving them a chance to not only compete in sports and basketball, but also giving them a chance to really learn about leadership and trying to better themselves. And I want you to hear just a little bit of what Adia Barnes had to say about this opportunity when she spoke to the media on Monday.
I am just so excited. I think that there needs to be more programs for young women, and to just be able to collaborate with Nike and the Girls and Boys Club and create something special for girls. It's much needed, long overdue. And if we see these wonderful young women in the back, they need opportunities. And I think that there's far too many women that are girls that quit sport, get out of sport, and we know the benefits of sport. We know, if you look at all my players in the room, sports has changed our lives and created opportunities that we could only dream of. So I envision just creating future stars, leaders. It's not all about basketball. It's flourishing in every single area. And I think you guys will have the chance to have a direct impact and connection to our players, to our university. And if we can change some lives and create some opportunity, I'm all for it. And the long-term goal for this program is to be the absolute best in Tucson, and to be the best in the state of Arizona, then have national recognition. And I want to build something really special, and the vision is just helping women and making a difference. So I'm so excited. We've been waiting for this. We've talked about it a long time, and I'm just blessed to have the opportunity.
All right, that is Adia Barnes, the head coach of the Arizona women's basketball team, and just a great partnership that kind of came out of the Nike think tank that Adia was involved in, and just some outstanding. I mean, this was an event, the Nike think tank was something that Nike put together a few summers ago, and I believe that Adia has been to it a couple of times, and it just involves some of the top women that are involved in sports on a number of levels. You're talking about Adia Barnes. You're talking about Serena Williams being involved in this. Angela Davis was involved in this. Sabrina Ionescu was involved in this. Shalane Flanagan, outstanding distance runner, was involved in this. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, the sprinter. Just some great women have been involved in this Nike think tank, and Adia Barnes, one of those that's also had an opportunity to take part in this and take this opportunity by Nike back to their communities to put programs in place that are going to help young women succeed not only in sports, but in life. And just great to see Adia Barnes being involved and taking it to the next level here in this community that she and her family have called home here.
And I mean, I think my favorite thing about what she said there is obviously how much sports can do for people, right? I mean, because the idea of going out and hitting a ball or kicking a ball or whatever it is, throwing your stick at the puck, the idea of teamwork and responsibility and everything else that revolves around being a member of a team, individual sports aside. And that also takes that getting up early to get your backhand working in tennis or, your short game in golf. A lot of that takes so much discipline, and that carries over to your everyday life, DK. And so I think the idea of helping out young people to find, maybe it's really hard to force a passion on somebody. In fact, it's impossible. However, the natural journey to find that thing that you love and you love doing so much, a lot of times you surround yourself with, maybe different people that you might not have associated with if you weren't involved in those sports. And I just think it's such a great cause and so great for young people to be pushed in a direction to be able to find some of that responsibility and that teamwork that it's associated with sports.
Speaking of women's athletics, especially on the high school level and girls athletics, this is the first year, and we talked about this all fall, this is the first year of flag football here in the state of Arizona.
Yep.
And we've got the playoffs beginning tonight. I hope they're still going to have some of these games. The weather kind of came through, but want to shout out the two teams from Southern Arizona who both made the postseason. Marana is the 3 seed in 6A. They'll be hosting Phoenix Dobson tonight. That's a 6 o'clock start over at Marana High School. And so if Marana wins tonight, they will advance to the quarterfinals, which are set for Thursday night. And they'll host again. If they win, they'll host either Mountain Ridge or Chandler on Thursday night. So shout out to Marana High School. They have had just an absolutely great first season in this flag football that came to Arizona this year. They are in 6A, and then their rivals over at Mountain View High School are in 5A. The Mountain Lionesses are the 10th seed in Conference 5A, so they're going to be on the road tonight. They'll head up to Casa Grande to take on the Cougars, and that'll be a 6 o'clock start as well. They are the 10th seed. If they advance, they will go and likely be on the road again against the winner of Verado and Gilbert Millennium. So shout out to both Marana High School and Mountain View High School for competing tonight in the flag football state tournament first round. Can't wait to see if those ladies can advance. All right, coming up, Glenn Howe's going to join us. We're going to talk Arizona football, Wildcat breakdown. But first, we want to make sure we get you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. With collisions reported Park Avenue and Ajo Way, downtown at Grande and St. Mary's. In Oro Valley, Oracle and Rancho Vistoso clearing. Heads up a brush fire reported at Palo Verde and Benson Highway in Palo Verde. Expect fire crews on scene. There's a chance of showers continuing. 57 are low with partly cloudy skies. Now, partly cloudy, 72. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Fall into...
Glenn, we'll see you out on the mall Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Looking forward to it. Can't wait. It's going to be a great game. Make sure everybody's got a ticket. We got to pack this place up. We got to make sure it's overflowing and very loud against Oregon State because we're going to need it because those guys are a good quality football team. And knowing Coach Mahalchek, their run coordinator, offensive line coach, they're going to be able to smash. They're going to smash the ball. They're going to try to run it down our throats. Those guys are averaging 195 yards on the ground a game. So get ready. We're going to need a great game from those guys up front.
Cool, brother. Awesome.
All right. Bear down.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Our thanks to Glenn Howe, as always, joining us. Diamondbacks leading the Phillies 1-0 in Philadelphia. Making sure we get you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. River and Craycroft, that was a hit-and-run wreck at Craycroft and River Road. Also other collisions clearing at Park Avenue and Ajo Way, Grande and St. Mary's, and in Oro Valley, Oracle and Rancho Vistoso. There is a chance of some showers still this afternoon into this evening. 57 are low with partly cloudy skies. And right now it is 70. And I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Boost Infinite.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station.
right, let's update you on what's happening with your Arizona Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. We are in the bottom half of the second inning. D-backs got a run in the first inning on a ground out by Christian Walker. Was able to beat out the attempt for a double play. Corbin Carroll scored to give Arizona a quick 1-0 lead, but Alec Baum has hit a bomb and taken Brandon Pfaadt deep in the bottom half of the second inning, a solo home run. And so we are now tied 1-1 with the Phillies batting in the bottom of the second inning in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The winner goes to the World Series to meet the Texas Rangers. So that is where we stand, and it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out tonight in Philadelphia. It's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch it. All right, 520-848-1290 is the number to get on the program. 520-848-1290. We're telling you about some of the things that are happening tonight, and one of them is the beginning of the postseason for Pima soccer. Both the men and the women are in the Division II, Region 1 tournament. The ladies played their game today. They are the number 3 seed. They had to go on the road to Scottsdale, but the Aztecs get the win today in Scottsdale by a score of 3-2. So the ladies are on now for Pima to the Division II Region 1 championship game. That will be on Saturday at a location to be determined. So they're the 3 seed. So they would need the 4 seed to advance in order to host that tournament. If else not, though, the Pima ladies will go back out onto the road Saturday to play in the region final. Now, the men won't play until tomorrow, and they will take on, they're actually the number 1 seed in Division II Region 1. So the men will host Glendale Community College tomorrow up on West Anklam Road. That'll be a 6 o'clock kickoff for the men, both of the men and women's teams at Pima College trying to get back to the national tournament, a national tournament that once again will be held this year here in Tucson, Arizona. That'll be in November. Both teams qualified for the Nationals last year. So this will be the second year in a row that Tucson is hosting the national tournament for National Junior College Association soccer. So just tremendous opportunity once again for our community here to have a chance to showcase ourselves and the great soccer that takes place here in southern Arizona. All right, I think, Jada, we were talking about in the 5 o'clock, well, in the 4 o'clock hour, we were talking about this whole remote control thing.
Right.
And I think we figured it out.
Did we?
Well, I don't know. Well, I think I understand, though. We had a gentleman calling off the air and said that in terms of the antenna, it's a simple click of a button. And I think what he probably means by that is you have all these extra buttons on your remote control. You know, you have the cable button, which gets you to your cable.
DK, ask any grandmother in America about how many buttons there are on the remote control. She'll probably make some crazy screaming noise.
Yeah, there's a lot of buttons on this remote control. Trust me, I deal with my 87. I went over to see my mother last night, and half the time I spent over there was dealing with her cable TV. It seems like I'm always dealing with her cable TV.
That's what sons do in the modern age.
Every time that I go over to my mother's house. But we also have a TV button, a DVD button, and an aux button. So I'm wondering if you can, apparently what this gentleman was probably talking about was you can set up your antenna on one of these buttons, and then you just have to hit the button, and then it goes to your antenna, and then you can watch the game that way.
They've had third-party switchers that you can hook up that do that. Yeah, that functionally can change.
That would be pretty easy. You still have to get the antenna, obviously, but that would be a lot easier than having to unhook the television and hook up the antenna.
I think you and I, we remember like the original like VHS, Betamax, and like the original video game consoles and the hassle that was all about with it. And then the antennas. I think the antenna world in 2023 is a little different
It's
than
probably like an HDMI kind of setup. An HDMI antenna. You can just kind of hook it through your HDMI into one of your sub channels and do it that way. I'm assuming that that's how.
I would assume that an Arizona family will make it as easy as possible for the 87-year-old grandmothers of the world to be able to watch the Suns.
They better. And I'd like to see them down here handing out some of those. I don't remember getting a memo about, hey, come up to Comcast and get your free, come up somewhere and get your free antenna. I know they were handing them out in Phoenix. I don't remember them handing them out down here. That would have been nice. So interesting over the weekend. And this is something that just drives me absolutely crazy. But the college football, well, really, it's any football. Let's go back to last Thursday night because we talked about this last Thursday. There was a high school game that had to be moved off of Friday night to Thursday night. That was the CDO game against Pueblo. They had to move it from Friday to Thursday, and one of the reasons they had to move it from Friday to Thursday is because they didn't have enough officials for the game to be kept on Friday night. So clearly, you have to move some of these games so you can have multiple crews working both Thursday and Friday night to cover all of these games. So Saturday, really it started Sunday. Sunday, there was, literally, if you follow the NFL on Sunday, about all that was on your timeline was how bad the officiating is in the National Football League. And a lot of it stemmed back to several games. One happened to be the one I was watching involving the Browns and the Colts, where there was a play at the end of the game that was called pass interference on the Colts, gave the Browns a 1st and goal at the 1. They scored and they won the game. Many people did not believe that was pass interference. The ball was not catchable, which is a term you'll hear in terms of pass interference, is that if the ball is not catchable, sometimes the referees will let those types of plays go. Then there was Saturday night, and this one hit a little bit closer to home. There was we talked a little bit yesterday about Washington came back to beat Arizona State. They were losing most of that game. Trenton Bourguet drove the Sun Devils down, had them in the red zone, about to maybe extend their lead. I think they were leading 8-7 at the time, or 7-6, or something of that nature. And Trenton Bourguet threw a pick six, and Huskies returned it the other way for a touchdown. Well, apparently several plays before that, there was what many people believe to be an egregious holding penalty on the Washington Huskies that should have given the Sun Devils an automatic first down or something of that nature. So all you heard all weekend long was complaining about officiating in football.
Is that every weekend?
Well, it is every weekend. It seemed to be a little bit louder this weekend, and I don't know if it was loud. Again, I don't know if it was louder to me just because it was involving the game that I was paying the most attention to.
Also, the team you grew up following, right?
So it might have been a little bit louder to me. But I mean, literally, if you go to Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and type in officiating, you'll get a slew of games across the country where people are complaining about the officials. And this is why you don't have enough officials to referee high school football games on Friday night, is because all y'all do is complain about the officiating. I mean, ever since I moved here to Southern Arizona, all I've ever heard about is how bad the officiating is in the Pac-12.
You didn't hear that when you were a student manager at USC?
I don't recall it being like that, no. I don't recall people complaining about... I mean, people have always complained about officials, but it seems to be at a different crescendo now at this point that we are in our lives with social media And everybody, you can hear. It's one thing if you can only hear a few people's opinions, but you can pretty much now hear everybody's opinion about it. So it makes it a little bit louder. But, I mean, we can go back to the whole fiasco with Sean Miller. You know, he touched the ball and how that turned into a conspiracy to get Sean Miller, the officials in the Pac-12, and that whole thing for basketball. And then the officials in football, they're just terrible. And so you constantly hear that every Saturday. And then you get to Sunday, and what are you hearing? You're hearing the same thing about the NFL. So literally what we have here, folks, is we've got people complaining about officiating in high school football, people complaining about officiating in college football, people complaining about officiating in the National Football League, which is the highest level of football. Okay? And I'll repeat what I've said all along. I did not grow up in a family where we did that. Okay? My uncle, I'll never forget my uncle who played 13 years in the big leagues telling me, don't you ever complain about an official score not giving you a base hit. If you want to get a base hit, hit it where there are no fielders. And my father was the same way. We did not complain about officiating. But apparently there are a lot of y'all out there that like to do that. So my advice to you is if you don't like what you're seeing on Friday night, if you don't like what you're seeing on Saturday afternoon, or in case of the Wildcats, Saturday night, if you don't like what you're seeing on Sunday afternoon, why don't you put on the stripes and go down there and try it for yourself? And I won't say the words that I said on Twitter because I'm tired of listening to it.
I think you just broke down the modern internet in general, DK, which is a whole bunch of people complaining as loudly as they can about things that they really don't understand.
Yeah.
It's really all complaint. It doesn't matter if it's, how something was made at a restaurant or whether or not an official missed a holding call. It's really just a whole lot of whining.
A whole lot of whining. And I'm tired of it. So shut up, please. That is going to wrap up our program for today. Thanks to all the people that joined us. T. Statman, Sean, Denise Waters, and Nigel Bigby, Matthew Valata, Glenn Howell. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. For J-Dub Cricket, I'm David Kelly. DK on the Sports Tip. We will talk to you on Wednesday.